This is Lisa from Mobile Tech Review, and this is a smackdown, but just a camera smackdown, not the two phones in their entirety. This is the new iPhone 7. This is the Samsung Galaxy S7. We'll also bring in some pictures from the Samsung Galaxy Note, though it has the exact same camera as the Galaxy S7 and S7 Edge, so it doesn't really matter. And we'll bring in some from the iPhone 7 Plus, which has the dual lens camera with the fancy depth effect coming and obviously the ability to shoot closer up kind of telephoto things. So we're going to find out which of these, if either of them, is actually the better camera. We're going to find out now. First, a real quick look at video because there's so much the same. This first one is the Galaxy S7 video. Looks pretty good. This is 4K recording, and then we downsample it to 1080p to show it to you on YouTube. The stabilization isn't that fantastic, but otherwise, considering these are demanding low light settings here, it's not bad at all. And this was shot with the iPhone 7 Plus. And look at this stabilization, so much smoother. But you know what? There's also a little less detail sometimes in his fur. You know, they have slightly different color biases. Again, I really couldn't say I choose one over the other for this, again, challenging kind of low light setting. And now a word from our sponsors, Dashlane. Passwords. Thanks to all things internet and social media, they've become a daunting daily necessity, like doing laundry. Except dirty clothes won't empty your bank account or post embarrassing photos to your Facebook page. Dashlane is a password manager on steroids. It's your online security valet that warns you how many times you've reused a password. Tell the truth. Your dog or cat's name is half your passwords. It tells you how many weak passwords you have and even notifies you of known intrusions to sites and services you have accounts with. It can change those weak and reused passwords for you using the Dashlane desktop program. There's also an Android and iOS app too, along with desktop programs plus browser extensions for Mac and Windows. So your passwords are ever available. It can fill in web forms on the desktop and mobile for you too. Address, billing details, even credit cards. It keeps track of all of that for you. You can share data if you like with sharing an emergency contact feature. If you're in Bogota and your wife needs to look up a login to change flights for you, well, she can do that. Only if you want her to, though. You can try out Dashlane Premium free with a 30-day trial when you sign up for the free service on the desktop app and browser extension. Premium adds secure account back up to the cloud, sync across all devices instead of just on one device, and unlimited secure sharing, more than just 5 individuals or groups. That's unlimited. Okay, for this comparison, we have the iPhone on the left and the Samsung Galaxy 7 family, Note, or regular Galaxy S7. There's a mix of pictures on the right-hand side. So, first up, everybody who thinks that Samsung is the one who does a lot of saturation, well, look at this. Apple here on the left has the more saturated photo. It's pleasing. They've got a little bit more contrast. Granted, these images aren't exactly the same, i.e. there's a little bit more black area here to see and appreciate the black levels. But also notice that the saturation is nice, but it's removing a little bit of detail in some places. Particularly see the orange over here, not too much detail because there's a lot of saturation. So it has it ups and downs, but I would say that there's a little bit more warmth overall too. The Samsung cameras are a little on the cool side for the way they actually shoot, and the warmth is certainly pleasing here with something like flowers. And yeah, see there's detail actually right over here where we're just a little blotted out with super orange. So technically speaking, the Samsung is actually correct as to what most people are going to like. I suspect they're going to like the iPhone better because it's more vibrant, a little bit more contrasty, a little bit better on the brightness and the levels. So, a slightly different vantage point here because they have slightly different focal lengths for the lens. It's more like 24 millimeter, a little wider for the Samsung versus 28 on the iPhone. So the iPhone here captures more dynamic range. That means you can actually read the text here on the windmill, whereas it's a little dark on the Samsung. Now this makes for a dramatic shot with the Samsung though. The high contrast twilight kind of shot is something that a lot of people like. We've actually captured some of the greens and some of the data here on the iPhone, whereas it's just turned to blackness on the Samsung. But Samsung's kind of cooler colors, I think, are pretty pleasing here, and it's also a very nice shot. So more dramatic to the Samsung, a little bit more photographically accurate for the iPhone. They both capture the light rays, or the God rays as they're sometimes called, pretty well, and they both have some noise in the sky because it is getting kind of dark by now. Next, the horse statue. Both of these are very nice and very similar photos, and the iPhone is showing a little bit more perspective distortion here. Notice, yeah, you can see how everything is converging set of lines here. That's because of these wide-angle lenses on camera phones aren't the best. But that aside, Samsung has a little bit more contrast going on. Now, in general, Samsung sharpens photos a lot. They don't over-sharpen, so it doesn't look artifacty and icky, but they do sharpen more than just about any phone maker. So you're going to see detail to the point of almost over-detail in the shrubbery here, and it's a little bit more gentle on the iPhone. Now, in terms of the sharpening too, the iPhone is kind of just about right. See this stucco wall right over here? That looks nice and, well, stucco-y, but kind of smooth at the same time. With Samsung, they've actually generated more texture than exists on this particular building, so there's a little bit more detail here. That's not the end of the world. It's not that important. And for those of you who don't actually edit your photos much after you shoot them, you just rely on what the camera can do, you might appreciate the extra sharpening. A lot of people like super sharp. I personally would pick, actually, the iPhone approach, but they're awful close here. Really, they are. Next shot, a room that was almost dark. There was a light on in the next room that was spilling in. You wouldn't know it here. Both of these are using their flash so you can see things. Now, the iPhone is a bit warmer, which is interesting because generally the Samsung's indoor shots tend to be the warmer ones, but sometimes it happens. And both of these have flash reflections in the glass here for the fireplace. They're both very good photos. It's a toss-up as to which one you might like more. They're both capturing similar amounts of detail, even if we zoom in. There's still a lot of detail there. It's not degrading at all. Let's do that with the Samsung. It's really close, honestly, folks. I would say maybe the lighting looks a little bit more natural on the iPhone because of that indoor warmth that we expect if you know it's an indoor scene, but it's really pretty close to call. And in general, that's going to be the theme with these. They're going to be very close to call. Next up, pretty outdoor shot, and this is really, again, pick which one you like better. They're both very nice. The iPhone, again, skews towards a little bit warmer, and this one goes more to the blue magenta. But in terms of the amount of detail we're capturing here, this is really lovely stuff. Now, lastly, this time we're bringing in the iPhone 7 Plus and its so-called telephoto lens, the 56mm lens that lets me take a picture like this that looks, well, more artistic. And this is not using the bokeh effect or anything like that. This is just the way it normally would take the shot without that new portrait mode that they're introducing in October and that we have a preview of already. So you can see here that this is plenty of detail, nice, sharp. And with the Samsung, no matter which one you get, Note, Edge, Galaxy S7, this is as close as you can get. If you try to get any closer, then this one right over here, this piece is gonna blur out because it's not gonna be able to focus any closer really well unless you go into macro mode. And then you're gonna be doing a really tight picture, something that's like this. So for that kind of effect where you just wanna get something that's like a portrait or a pretty object shot, the iPhone 7 Plus is going to be your only choice to actually do that using dedicated hardware. So there you have it. You can smack them all day, all night, and they're darn close, folks. They are both really, as camera phones go, very good cameras with wide lenses, decent resolution, enough for a little bit of cropping, all that sort of thing. Panorama mode, slow motion mode, all those features that you count on in today's flagship phones. But in terms of image quality, they do a few things a little bit differently, but in the end, they're really darn close. I'm Lisa from Mobile Tech Review. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more cool tech videos.